So that's a bit. I mean, we talk about the crimes, we talk about the corruption and the personal profiting. Perhaps the most heinous thing, uh, the elephant in the room, that we'd really want to talk about briefly, um, is Trump as a sexual predator, right? And his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Um, Now, there's no shortage of other talking heads on YouTube who know way more about this than we do. So we're not going to spend 2 hours going down the rabbit holes as
We're playing catch up on this whole, conspiracy theory thing. So, so that's
yeah. Well, and this is the conspiracy theory that conspiracy theorists use as a gateway into other conspiracy theories. They say, "See, we told you Epstein was right.
yeah.
This all Epstein stuff was true, and therefore, the Earth's flat." Um, so we don't need to get into the rabbit holes, but I do have some questions, right, that I think people want to know. The first one I'll pose to you. Actually, I'll pose the first two questions at the same time.
Okay.
The first is, why didn't the Democrats release the files? When they were, why didn't Joe Biden release the files when he was in office? And
Yeah.
piggybacking off that, why has Epstein resurfaced now? The guy died
Yeah.
in 2019
During Trump's first term. Yeah.
during Trump's first term, and honestly, there's little new information that we currently have that wasn't already known back then as well. So why now?
Yeah. Well, so why now? I think this maybe if I answer the first question, we can get into the second question. But why now? I think is because this was a MAGA talking point during the campaign, right? Like, Trump famously came out and said he was going to release all the JFK files. He was going to release all the Martin Luther King Jr. files on those assassinations. And more reluctantly, I think, said, yeah, sure, I'll release the Epstein stuff too, right? But then, MAGA faithful took that and ran with it because there are many people in the MAGA camp that are convinced that there is this elite, circle of sexual predators that either run the country or are quite powerful within the country. We're not going to get into all that crazy stuff, the QAnon stuff. That is a separate episode that I don't want to do anytime soon. But this idea, right, that there is this elite cabal of sexual predators that are running things and covering it up. Epstein fits into that because he very much is, a groomer for elite sexual and underage sexual liaisons, right? And that's why he was in jail. Um, so he was sex trafficking young girls to elite people. And so it fits with that QAnon suspicion, and it fits with this kind of MAGA anti-elite vibe. And so Donald Trump was happy to kind of run on part of that in his platform for 2024. And of course, Pam Bondi, right, his attorney general, says she's got the client list. This was back in February. She claimed she had the book, she had the client list on her desk, and she just needed to review it and release it. Now the tune changed. Late this spring, I think she informed Trump that his name was in the files in some form. And again, we don't know what that means. But quite quickly, they did kind of an about face. There's all these reports of FBI people combing through the files to try to scrub Donald Trump's from them.
Yeah, like a thousand agents or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. It
Just
almost seems
scouring the files.
unbelievable. Yeah, but supposedly, right, this happened. And then by July, Pam Bondi comes out and says, yeah, there is no Epstein list. There's no files to release, which was a real blow to anyone in the MAGA movement thinking that Trump was going to bring a reckoning against this elite pedophilia ring. So I think that's why it's resurfaced, right? And it's why Trump is now, he kind of goes back and forth between presenting as a little panicky about it and then just presenting as kind of bullish and angry about it, right? That this is a hoax brought on by the Democrats and they've cooked the books or whatever. So I think that's why it's resurfaced. I don't know if it's going to go away or not. The momentum seems to have dulled since July. At least I haven't followed it that closely, but it doesn't seem to be a prescient talking point, at least among Trump's base, like it was a month ago. And so I don't know if that means it's going to die off. I guess one big question that I have about Epstein and whether or not this continues to be a thorn in Trump's side is what the Republicans in Congress do with it when they come back from recess in September here. But the other question is, I don't know why the Democrats didn't release the files. Probably it's you maybe have more specific theories. I suspect that either there's not that much there. There's not a whole lot of new information, like you say, since 2019. And maybe there isn't a whole lot of information to comb through. I also think that, Joe Biden, for all his faults, believed in things like presidential precedents. And so there's been a long precedent, as we talked about last episode, actually, of presidents looking the other way on their predecessors' misdeeds and not choosing to go after them for things. If Trump was in those files, he probably wasn't explicitly. Maybe he was. I don't know. Explicitly a patron. But even if he was, I'm not sure that Joe Biden would have released that kind of information because he's playing from an older, playbook where politics is polite and you don't just totally trash your predecessor as someone like a sexual predator. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I have a good theory about this. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I think we might have different views on this. I don't know. The above the fray argument I do buy for a lot of things. With Epstein, there's a couple things to say. One is that there are a lot of people involved. There might be ongoing investigations that, quote unquote, releasing the files would compromise,
Undermine, yeah,
and undermine, and there's possibly something at play there, not related to Trump, but just in general, getting information on other people involved that they don't want to get all that information out there. Certainly the victims they don't want to put in the limelight, but we don't know like the extent of the people involved and who's involved, and certainly I think Trump's in the files. We know that. His own attorney general has said that.
Say that, yeah.
But there's a lot of other people in it too. So it's probably sensitive in a number of different ways. The other thing is that they were sealed under court order under Biden's administration, and the Supreme Court twice extended the appeal deadline, which conveniently kept it until right after the election.
Interesting.
So that incriminating evidence, if it exists, was in limbo until Trump took office and could play this card that he was going to release it. The other thing is, if you're the Biden administration and you release anything, do you think MAG is going to believe it?
Right, that's a good point. Yeah. Will it do you any good as Joe Biden, let's say July of 2024, right, to release something about Epstein and Trump? Or is it just going to look like a smear campaign and get dismissed as fake news? Because so many things that are real have been dismissed as fake news when it comes to Donald Trump.
And so, there's such an interesting ebb and flow of, this is more a question for the media and journalism, but like the ebb and flow of like covering things too much, let's say with Hillary's emails, for example, in 2016, which may have sank her campaign and gotten Trump in office in the first place.
Yeah.
And then backing off, and then the Hunter Biden laptop story starts, and everyone's kind of like, let's not even go there. This seems fishy. The timing of it seems fishy. Turns out that it was really his
real.
laptop.
Yeah.
Is Joe Biden incriminated in any way? No, but it was a real story that should have been covered much more extensively up front. And so it's tough to say. It's tough to say with Epstein, like what certainly the government, from a legal standpoint, can do or wants to do or get involved with, and then with media and journalism coverage of it. It really takes off, I think, this summer because of MAGA pushback.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Yeah.
It's like
there was a betrayal, right? Like there was a feeling of betrayal. Donald Trump is going to, knock heads and get these elites in order and call out pedophilia. And then he says there's nothing there, right? And so there's an emotional component that, like, well, wait a minute. You promised us this, right? So,
yeah.
And it doesn't help that there is so much smoke where there is fire here, right? So it's hard even for the most devout Trump apologist to ignore all the pictures, all the... I mean, by Trump's own admission, he was buddies with the guy until 2004, right? And they were close. I mean, we have pictures of them on planes together. We have, supposedly this birthday card that Trump signed for Epstein. Epstein introduced Trump to Melania, maybe, right? Like, there's no question they were close. And then, Trump this summer saying, well, the only reason they had a falling out is because Trump knew he was stealing his young workers. I mean, and this is not like spin. This is just like stuff Trump has said.
Yeah. I mean, a common recurring realization we're having is that when Trump says something, he's saying it for real. Like, we're not inferring this relationship here. Like, he'll hang himself and then watch as no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, the friendship with Epstein is indisputable, right? 2002, Trump tells New York Magazine that I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Right? I mean, you mentioned this birthday card.
Yeah.
May every day be another wonderful secret. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. And then Epstein, in his interview with Michael Wolff, this biographer of Trump who had access in his first administration,
right?
Epstein says, I was Donald's closest friend for 10 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And Epstein in that interview has
no reason.
All this.
Yeah.
Well, he has no reason to lie, first of all, and except that he might be killed in his prison. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. He's talking about the ins and outs of Trump's sex life. He's also talking about the ins and outs of Trump's first administration. Like, it's clear they were still close. Very frequent communication, even as Trump was president, up until Epstein dies in his prison cell in 2019. So the friendship is, I think, indisputable and seems to run longer than Trump claims. I mean, there's a number of ways to get into this. One thing to mention is that we have to at least acknowledge Trump's kind of history of sexual assault allegations is much longer and much deeper than just his association with Epstein.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly we got the Stormy Daniels story we've covered, but here's a quick. Go ahead.
Well, I would say we've got the Hollywood Access tape from way early on, and that's no doctored tape, right? Like, I think anyone who listens to that knows that's Trump talking, and he's talking about grabbing women without permission, right? To put it mildly. He'd put it, more graphically. Although the MAGA Christians should listen to it. But you've got other ones too, right?
Plenty. Um, so this list is compiled by PBS News. I wonder what Trump thinks about PBS. Um, so this list is just of women who have not disavowed their allegations. Right. So this is still a present list as far as I know. I'm just going to say the names, read the basic dates in which the accusations happen. But these are all sexual assault allegations.
Against
Kristen
Trump,
Anderson,
yeah.
against Trump directly, yeah. Kristen Anderson, early 1990s. E. Jean Carroll, late 1995 or early 1996. A lot of people know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel Crooks, 2005. Jane Doe, aka Katie Johnson, 1994. That that's the big one with uh, the accusation that Trump and Epstein together repeatedly raped this Katie Johnson woman in Epstein's New York City apartment in 1994 when she was 13. Jessica Drake, 2006. Joel Harth, 1992 to 93. Kathy Heller, 1997. Nini Loxonin, 2006. Jessica Leeds, early 1980s. Page two. Mindy McGillivray, 2003. Jennifer Murphy, 2004. Cassandra Searles, 2013. Natasha Stoynoff, 2005. Temple Taggart McDowell, 1997. Karina Virginia, 1998. Summer Zervos, 2007. There's also teen pageant contestants alleging Trump walked in while they were dressing. These are Mariah Bellado and Victoria Hughes, also corroborated by three other anonymous sources from the 1997 Miss Teen USA pageant. So, anyways, again, maybe every single one of those women just made that up. Maybe. Or maybe not.
Doubtful, right? Yeah. Yes, yeah. It's a lot of accusations over a long time period. And again, not all associated with Epstein, right? The vast majority of them are outside of his relationship with Epstein. Um, so, yeah, you can choose to believe any one of these accusers, or all of them, or you can choose to believe Donald Trump, who's known for his honesty,
Right.
and his respect for women.
Right. Right. I mean, we've always known that. Like
Yeah.
the guy has not told over 30,000 lies just in his first term. He hasn't. The other thing, I promise this is the last laundry list, but the other thing that I think we have to just get out there in the ether is some of the, what I would say is concrete evidence, uh, or highly incriminating evidence that we have associating Trump with this trafficking ring that Epstein ran and Ghislaine Maxwell ran. It's actually not that much, but the Black Book is front and center. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the Black Book. Um, this is a list of contacts that Epstein had. It was stolen by Alfredo Rodriguez, the former house manager for Epstein, and then acquired by the FBI in a sting in which Rodriguez was attempting to sell it for like 50 grand or something. Um, so there's a bunch of names circled uh, in the book, including Trump's and all of his contact info, with the names being circled, apparently or allegedly being the ones who were involved directly in the trafficking ring of underage women.
This is the closest we actually have to a list as far as anyone has seen, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. And again, you could say, well, maybe this guy who circled it, Alfredo, he's not trustworthy. And that's fair, right? Like,
yeah.
it's not a smoking gun by any means, but it's pretty close,
Our
I'd
old
say.
our old methods teacher used to tell us to triangulate your evidence. Okay, so we got one corner of our triangle in place here.
Yeah, I mean, there's the flight logs, and again, I don't know how many. From what I understand, there's like 1% of the Epstein files released to the public, or something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
between 1 and 3%.
Hmm.
Uh, so, are there more flight logs? Yeah, I think probably. The flight logs that are released to the public, Trump's name appears 7 times um, on Epstein's plane. The other thing, the other big thing that I'll mention, and I'll leave it at that, is this testimony by this Jane Doe or this Katie Johnson, um, who's this woman who came forward, and her story was that Trump and Epstein both uh, raped her as a 13-year-old in New York City. A lot of people think this is a hoax. You can see her testimony. Her face is blurred out, but you can listen to her testimony on YouTube. It's like 30 minutes or something. Um, and you can judge for yourself. It's There's also the court affidavit. It's awful stuff. We don't even need to get into it, but the lawsuit that this Katie Johnson woman had against Trump, she dropped in November of 2016, um, after reportedly receiving multiple threats. So again, Trump becomes president. He's a powerful guy to begin with. She drops the lawsuit. Uh, there's a lot to say there, and there's probably a lot unsaid by a lot of people on any one of these individual accusations. But I think Katie Johnson's probably is right at the top of like what people should be paying attention to if they want to get to the bottom of this.
Good insight, Josh. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, like there's more. There's always going to be more with this. Um, I've had a lot of people ask me like, well, what do you think? Like, is he on the Epstein list? Is he implicated? Um, I think the preponderance of the evidence,
Yeah.
as we were taught to consider, uh, seems to point that way. And given his track record, given his social circles, the fact that he was, best friends with Epstein for at least a decade, if not more. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Given the fact that Pam Bondi has told him directly, "Hey, you're in these files." Yeah. Given how he's been acting since this has resurfaced in 2025, yeah, you don't need to be a psychologist to look at that guy and see what's going on in his head.
Yeah.
What does that mean practically? Will he ever be punished for it or held accountable? No, I don't think so.
Sure doesn't
Uh,
seem like it. Yeah.
but the two likeliest scenarios in which Trump was involved were that Epstein used his
Praise.
his properties, his pageant, his beauty pageant, as a source of finding underage women to traffic, and then he used Mar-a-Lago to traffic underage women. I mean, that's the story of Virginia Giuffre, right? Who
Right.
claimed, uh,
She
she
started.
was
Yeah.
a spa attendant at Mar-a-Lago when she was a teenager. She claimed Ghislaine Maxwell, kind of recruited her. Um, and then Virginia Giuffre died by suicide earlier this year. So it's heinous stuff.
It
I don't
should
know how
make your
you.
yeah. It should make your skin crawl. And I think that that's why if you're still rooting for the president, if you're still in the pro-Trump camp, you probably don't want to dig too deep into this because it makes me uneasy, right? But it's shocking stuff, even if I'm not surprised that Trump's involved in it. And you probably don't want to sit too long with the fact that you're supporting someone with this this level of depravity, morally, personally, politically, every category you can think of, right? Um,
Yeah, and I mean, I guess just to round it up, like the the biggest defense or the biggest retort I always get, and this goes back to day one of 2016 when he was talking about grabbing him by the pussy, and everyone's like, "Well, okay, what?" the retort from day one has been, yes, we can all agree he's a despicable man, but he's great for the country. This is what we need for the country. He's a great politician.
Yeah.
He's a
Hold
great businessman.
hold
He
your
gets stuff
nose and
done.
vote. Yeah. Hold your nose and vote.
I mean, what do you make of that as a thought?
I will go back to some some Pauline wisdom here and say that a bad tree bears bad fruit, right? Like the guy has the guy is immoral, the guy is despicable, the guy has bad values. You can't root for someone like that. You can't root for um it's not just his personality, it's not just his vulgarity. He is rotten to the core, and he's he's infecting every fiber of American society with this depravity, right? Um, as our leader, he's a terrible example to young children, young men especially, right? That you can do this stuff and get away with it with no consequences. As a world leader, he represents no American value that I want people associating with my country. Um, and and he's an immoral, despicable figure who you wouldn't want to sit in a room with, let alone have your country run by, right? Do you An honest question to sit and reflect with, would you want your daughter in a room alone with Trump? And if the answer to that is no, then you should not want your country in a room alone with Trump. That's kind of where I sit, right? So am I rooting for America? Yes, still rooting for America. Rooting for America to boot this loser out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You know, the guy is the Epstein stuff, as George Conway said, who's one of the founders of the Lincoln Project. You know, a former Republican. George Conway said the Epstein stuff is of a piece. Like,
Yeah. It's it's a
it's not
symptom of the whole thing. Yeah.
it's not some shocking revelation that should bury him because no one saw it coming. It's really not that much different than anything else that
Yes.
he stands for or represents as the leader of the U.S. right now.
It should not be
Um,
surprising. Yeah.
right. I mean, the guy is a narcissistic sociopath. He completely lacks empathy. He's a pathological liar. You know, he can't have a conversation without stumbling into a lie. He doesn't exist in the reality that the rest of us do. And we refuse as a country to hold him accountable for that. Um, if you can't see that his values are one and the same with his policies, you're not paying attention in my mind. And you know, certainly other episodes of this podcast would do a better job at explaining why, despite the fact that he claims we're getting all this great tariff revenue and the American economy is as strong as it's ever been, why that's just a bald-faced lie. You know, we can't sum all that up here, but like he claims we're winning. He claims America's great again. Um, we're not winning.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not. Um,
Paraphrase a John Wayne movie. You shouldn't believe this guy's word that night's dark and day's light, right? Like and I think that if you listen to your gut, no matter who you are, again, no matter what side of the political spectrum, you got to know that. You got to know that this guy is just a grifter, an amoral one, right? Um, and you can't trust a word out of his face. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I'll leave it with one quotation, right? Um, and this quotation comes from one of the world's most notorious sex offenders, Jeffrey Epstein, who, in his interview with Michael Wolff, says, of Donald Trump, quote, "The moral compass just does not exist." When Jeffrey Epstein, who's
Yeah.
rotting in hell right now,
Yeah.
claims that your moral compass just doesn't exist, I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
And, you don't got to take his word for it. Open your eyes and pay attention to what he's doing on a daily basis. The policies, the agenda, the random 3 a.m. tweets, insulting whatever talk show host he feels like. There is really nothing
No
that
redeeming
I've
quality.
seen.
No.
There's no policy, at least with the second term. I don't think I've seen a single thing except maybe his insult of the new Cracker Barrel logo. I agree there. Um, other than Cracker Barrel, I don't think there's a single thing Trump has done that isn't either morally reprehensible or a bald-faced lie,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is morally reprehensible.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes me deranged, happy to be it.
Yeah. Yes. Me too. That's a good note to end on a long episode here. So thanks for bearing with us, anyone
Yes.
listening. Either watching this in full or in part. Next time we'll touch base again. Maybe we'll recap kind of where we are. We'll take the temperature, Josh, of what things look like 7-8 months in. Does that sound? Yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
that's our plan. Just a recap of: is it as bad as you thought it was going to be? Is it worse? Or are there bright spots? I don't know. We're not ending on a bright spot tonight, though.
Well, I mean, Cracker Barrel did decide it's going back to its original logo. So the big culture war issues that really matter for America are back on track.
We keep winning. Yeah. Okay.
We keep winning.
Yeah.
All right. So
All
relax,
right.
Johnny. Calm down.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Mean
All right.
tweets
Thanks,
today.
guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Over and out.